Hey y'all, it's Renegade, and we're back for another dose of reality in our review for episode 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 17, episode 4. Before we dive into all the tea, I can't do this alone, y'all, so let's welcome in the one and only. She's beautiful, she's gorgeous, she paints like she's in Cats. It's QuackkrJack! Jack, what are your thoughts on episode 4? We're now a month into season 17. Can you believe it?
Um, I can't believe it. It feels like it hasn't been any time at all, but I'm kind of at the standstill where I was like, this isn't my favorite kind of an episode challenge. I think it's very. I thought it ended up being better than what I expected it to be, but again, I don't know if it's kind of my favorite choice of what they're doing here, right? So I kind of wish that maybe instead for this challenge, the girls had to do their own thing as opposed to pretty much be told what they're going to be doing here. I was kind
Mm.
of hoping that the girls maybe had to do an acting challenge with lines as opposed to lyrics, I guess.
Did
Especially to
feel like
songs that are.
an attempt to like try a new challenge, like a Canada's Drag Race kind of thing. I agree with you. I don't know if it was as successful as some of the Canada's Drag Race challenges, Um, but we definitely got some tea to spill about that. But before we do, y'all, make sure you like and subscribe for more content because there will be tons more Drag Race content coming here. And let's just go getting right into it because we're already kind of talking about it here. But for this week, for their Bitch, I'm a Drag Queen challenge, the queens were tasked with singing songs based off of iconic rants and legendary moments from Drag Race history and had to record and perform these songs and make kind of like commercials into either Bitch I'm a Drag Queen Volume 1 or Volume 2. And we do love a self referential challenge here on Drag Race. It's kind of like their thing. They do this all the time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I do kind of get a little annoyed now that we've been doing it for this long that we kind of always have to, always reference ourselves, but I get it. We want to keep ourselves, relevant here. So in this challenge, particularly for me, which was most confusing though, is I feel like they did not set it up well at all, or really explain it that well at all. I mean, up until just a few moments ago, and it's been a couple days since this episode ended, you and I both thought that they had to write the lyrics for this challenge, and turns out that they were given pre-recorded lyrics. And a different kind of genre style, and some of them even had partners that they had to include or not. And I Jack, what were your kind of thoughts overall, just based off of everything here? Because I know it's not your favorite type of challenge here, but let's dive into what we maybe would have done a little bit differently here for this. Because I'm kind of struggling just because it felt like they took like 10 different challenges here and kind of stuck them into one. Maybe nine now that we know that they don't have to write the songs, but I
Right.
I just
I
I
mean,
don't know what direction to feel about this at the moment, honestly.
like, why did they even go through the like effort of having them record it? Why didn't they just lip sync it like a normal song kind of thing? Like they lip synced
Right.
like the song after it was recorded by someone else, and I was like, why wouldn't you just go ahead and use the recording that you already have and not give the girls more time? I don't know. It was kind of strange to me. And then there's the problem of some girls were in pairs and some girls weren't, and I think that makes a very different like comedy issue. It's one thing if it's like one girl, but it's almost every other performance was like by myself with one other person, by myself with one other person, by myself with one, and so it just was. It's not in the most level like playing field. Plus, they don't get to choose their parts, and that's probably to some extent rigged. Like you come up next, and we're assigning you this part. You come up next, we're assigning you this part. Because let's be real. Are they shaking around the box, or is it exactly in a like a deck of cards kind of thing? You're drawing the next one.
I was thinking it was like a deck of cards because I was not getting like from a lot of these. Too many times did I hear, "Oh wow, this was perfect." Like Sam being like, "Oh my God, Sam star quality," or then Lexi being like, "Oh my God, I got my trans sister Kennedy." Or yeah, I was just like,
Yeah. There's only so
uh,
many coincidences that can happen before you're like, this isn't working right.
which isn't like a bad thing per se, but like when you look at some of these parts here, not all these parts were created equal whatsoever.
Oh, and with the songs, definitely not.
Like we can kind of jump in one by one with kind of like how the girls did, because I don't think there was anything necessarily, dramatic wise that stuck out here that we can't like break it down between the girls here for this episode. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and we can kind of jump into the challenge right away. And while we're doing the challenge here as well, we go over the runways because this runway was an interesting one. They're quilted for their pleasure runway. So, we'll go ahead and talk about them, I guess, in the order that they performed here. So, starting with group one, we had Lana and Lydia, and they had to do the season two fight between Morgan McMichaels and Mystique Summers Madison. And it's called No Class, No Manners. And they took a little bit of a country spin on it here. Um, I do think this one was a weird one to open up on as well too, because it felt, especially in my confusion for what was happening here, like the lyrics didn't necessarily match the fight 100% to me, at least my
Oh
recognition of
no.
how the fight happened. So it felt, I was like, okay, are they taking liberties with how they're interpreting? Like, are they not allowed to actually like use the words that they said? Because Ru said in the beginning, it's like, okay, make these your own. So I'm like, okay, are we not? Are we doing that essay thing where we take a quote and we just like change words here and there and use a thesaurus to switch a word out? Because I was kind of a little confused as far as like the lyrics goes. Um, as far as the performance part, I thought it was fine. It was fun. Um, it was a little bit of a meh song, and I do think that they were kind of overshadowed by the decision to have Crystal Envy be the tumbleweed in the round. I think she definitely stole a lot of focus, but um, I mean, I guess I kind of had them right in the middle as far as the performances go. And hey, Jack, go ahead and talk about the performance here. Do you agree with me on this, or did you enjoy them a little bit more?
I didn't enjoy them. I felt it was very bland. I felt like they had really good moves, but it felt so like unnatural when they were
Mm.
moving around, like hitting each other. Like there was once or twice where it felt good, but then there were times where I saw them like, let me try this, but not try too hard, but let me not, swing it too far. And I understand, but it just felt like there was a lot of back and forth, just hitting each other, throwing each other down with the guitar. And I was like, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, like you do the joke 17 times. I mean, it gets old, but also, if we're going to be real, how many times have we seen girls get in trouble for that and then other girls get to like kind of just, they're cool with it. And I think Crystal in the background was funny and the best part of their part, but I don't think it's Crystal's fault that they were outshined by her. I think part of it is the
Oh,
song.
not at
I
all.
agree. I think that also part of it is the fact that, again, this shouldn't have been the opening one. If in this group alone, if I were to open this, I probably would have opened it with either Crystal Envy's song, uh, just to like start it because I want to start it strong, or I probably would have opened it with like, I don't know who else was here. We had Harmona Lisa and who was the people before? You know what?
Honestly,
Arrietty and
none of these group one songs were all that great to want to like feel like, other than Crystal. Crystal kind of, I feel
I
like I kind
think
of got it from her, but we kind of get into it. But I don't think any of these group one
I think
songs
that
would have been the best starting song, personally.
I don't know. I like to look at like some of them were more upbeat, and I think a more upbeat song really needed to start the thing. And I was thinking either Arrietty and Jules maybe could have done well, or Crystals. And I like Joella's as either like the finisher or like a just dramatic change. Like if we had done like I kind of like the order of it going from the country to Joella's like gospel and like really upbeat tempo. So that was fine, but we needed more energy in the very beginning. So them starting off was just a really weak start to the group, and it just didn't do well. I kind of forgot what they did and who they did. I didn't even really get the energy of the fight. I was like, they kind of look like they're just friends, but then they're like, haha, we're smiling, but not really. And I kind of wish it was more like a battle of the bands against them, kind of each other. Like I don't know, the song didn't fit the fight or the theme of what it was going for, so it just was unsuccessful for me. And part of a big part of that isn't their fault, but at the same time, they weren't really captivating either. Like I didn't want to look at them. I wanted to look at Crystal Envy the whole time.
Did their runways captivate you at all here, Noel Jack?
did their runways, like specifically
Yeah, Lana and
those two
Lydia's.
runway. No, no, no. They were towards the bottom of my list actually. Felt like we were just getting a okay, like okay. So Lydia's was kind of strange and out there, like all of her runways are kind of funny. But I think a lot of girls just really shined on this runway specifically. So we kind of had that issue where all of the girls were doing extremely well. So even if you had a good outfit, it could kind of fall down really fast because we kind of got these moments of like, well, this was kind of expected. Like, I think Harmona Lisa's is the best example of this. It's not a bad outfit, but it's very middle of the pack. Not, it's not killing it, right? Like, no one's like going like, oh, that's my thing. I did like Lana's Harajuku, like what is it? It's Sailor Moon. Sorry, Star Guardians is the League of Legends thing based on Sailor Moon. It's very that esque, like we're seeing anime uh references. It's very fun. It's very cute. I think it got overshadowed by a lot of the other girls' runways, unfortunately.
Yeah, overall, like I don't mind either of these two looks. I think Lana's is cute. I really like the colors that she did with it, and I like the references. But it definitely isn't maybe as conceptual as some of the other ones, and I feel like in the opposite way, Lana's is extremely conceptual, and I don't know if it's necessarily a concept that I'm vibing with 100%. Like she is very much so turning into that queen. That's like I feel like there's other
Agreed.
queens that are giving me more concept than the execution of it. And there's others that are able to kind of get on the same level with their concept and their execution. I don't know if Lydia is necessarily my cup of tea all the time when it comes to this. I feel like she has this obsession with more is more, like a lot of her looks are like
Yeah.
a lot. And I feel like this is an example of like a lot in not necessarily a good way because there's so much going on here, which I'm fine. Do your thing, girl. I'd rather you have, I guess, too much than not enough because at least you can take it off. But yeah,
Definitely.
I just don't know. I mean, and it's not for me to understand, but like,
You know what?
you know,
You bring up a good point about Lydia. It's a lot, but at the same time, I will give her the credit that I got exactly what she was going for with this because I was like,
mm,
"Ew, whose old dirty couch is that?" And then it was like an old dirty cat couch. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well,
I mean, I feel it.
like the
Like,
fabric was definitely correct. Like everything about it was very correct. So I think it's good drag. I just
mhm,
think it's not as pretty to me. It's one of those. This is a concept piece. Great.
right,
This is not going to be like this is my favorite of the week though.
right, exactly. Like, it's not a bad look at all. It's just maybe not the most visual appealing as it could be, but I don't think it needs to necessarily be. Not everything has to be that way. So, still pretty good looks here, and I'm still kind of very excited to see what else Lana or Lydia is going to be bringing to the runway this week. The show, Lana as well too. Lana's been hitting in a few places. I just kind of wish they actually. It's kind of interesting that they're together here, right? Because I feel like they could kind of use a little bit of the other in their drag a little bit. Um, like I feel like Lydia could probably use just a slight little bit of editing, and I feel like Lana could use just a little bit more concept, just a little bit more. But um,
And better shoes for this outfit.
ooh, not the
Well, I
shoes,
just
the
well, it was like the sleeve cover things. I
shoes.
don't know what exactly what you call them. I liked the idea. I didn't necessarily love the concept or the execution, but I think it's just the color that she used based on the fact that I had seen a lot of that. It's definitely matching. I just kind of wish I had gotten more of the orange down there maybe instead of the green or maybe more pink or something other than that green because we had seen the green throughout a lot of it and the color palette was nice, but like
They're a little all
it
over the
just
place, right?
it was. But again, this is what this is about. She gave us very, very colorful, very bright, lots of different colors, and it wasn't bad. It was very fun. It was just there are a few things I want to tweak about it.
So it's just a slight editing. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
well. I was hoping we could talk about this one a little bit later, but they ended up putting her second in the looks here. So I'm like, what are we gonna do here, girl? Um, it's Joella, and
Girl, trash. Throw it out. Next.
I've never
No, because like
go for it, Jack. Go.
I hate when a queen kisses ass so fucking hard. I've seen queens do this a million times. Like I'm sure there are other times that this happened before, but it reminds me of when when Coco does like the Rue Coco like perfume or whatever it is, Rue Chanel. I don't remember what it is, but it's all like it's all about RuPaul's perfume thing, and I was like, you're supposed to make it about yourself.
Which is
And
crazy
now it's
because she made every other
line on
moment
line on
about
line.
herself.
Well, like that's what you do on Drag Race. This is your time to like introduce yourself to the world. And I was like, Coco is such a fun character. She has so much about her. Imagine if she had just done like a Janet-esque perfume or like taken from inspiration from Alyssa and been like just completely orange and like you can use it as base powder kind of thing. Just something really funny. And I think Coco didn't give her enough credit, but I'm only saying that like I hate when girls kiss ass so much, and this like spray painted or whatever it was on the back of RuPaul's face. It, like
Yeah,
this
it's
idea of
bad.
a big pillow or mattress, so funny, great choice. But I was really hoping that when she turned around, she'd reveal something fun, or when she got to the end of the runway, she'd rip it off into like it would turn into I don't know like her uh like a cape or a train kind of following her because how amazing would that be to like pull it off? Like she would have looked like a Pop Tart kind of thing, like coming out the toaster and pulling out the Pop Tart, and that had like revealed her outfit. I'm just saying that's what it looked like to me. I was really thinking that. I was like, this is a mattress, this is a pillow, this is a Pop Tart, and instead we got like a throw pillow, and I was like, so body pillows are weird, and this is extremely weird because what are you gonna do with this like 10 foot tall RuPaul face?
Well,
I didn't
supposedly
like
she
it.
didn't.
Weird.
It wasn't one of her finished garments. Apparently, the designer like took their sweet ass time making this one, so she kind of had to take it. She didn't have a choice. But what would even inspire you to do this? Like, it's funny, but I'm just like,
It's
I'm,
still
I
his ass, man.
can't. It's just, I'm just,
And
uh,
opulent my ass, bitch.
just the fact that Joella, we're never ever gonna forget the Joella because these memes will live on forever. Um, episode 4, I think we found our golden boot. I don't think there's any possible way that anything else could be worse than this
But just
outfit.
be careful about that, because you say that now, and there's
Nope.
always some girl that can surprise us.
Well, Joella's gone now, so and it's mostly because of this gospel performance that she had. And I do kind of agree with what the judges were saying here that like it wasn't necessarily like the best performance per se. But also
It sucks.
like when it comes down to like iconic RuPaul Drag Race moments and whatnot, I'm like even for just Mariah Balenciaga alone, she has so many better other moments that she could have used. And I don't. I'm not gonna say that she was set up for failure because it's all how you use it.
She
This part
wasn't.
could
She
have
definitely
been,
wasn't.
yeah, this part could have been really funny, but it was very one note. She clearly kind of didn't know what she was doing, and it was just,
She didn't know her
it was
lyrics
rough. It was rough
properly. She didn't even give us face. She had the same. I was like, is she Botoxed? Like, why can't she give us any expression?
because she was too busy giving face on the runway, girl, on her back.
She wasn't even giving us face on that. Girl, she straight up went in there and had the same face the whole time. Was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. These are the lyrics. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, and it was just like there weren't levels to it. We've seen many a gospel performance. It brings me back to season 7 finale, Ginger Minge, where she has that church number kind of thing. It is not hard to play like, and look, I know that not everyone has the background of going to church or anything, but you've seen it enough times on this show alone to know how to do like a kind of a church lady or something, or like inspire people and like get up there and like start dancing and really being for it. And looked terrible. She was boring. And I was like, that's the number one killer. Because, like, she wasn't really serving us face. She wasn't really commanding attention. It was very much more of the last group, but she actually had a good number, I think, in comparison to the last group whose number wasn't as good. Again, I agree with you. The moment of Mariah wasn't that huge, so I don't really know why. But at the same time, it was. It feels like this song wasn't even about that moment. It was just about her supposed to be performing.
Yeah,
I,
and
I don't know if you can use that.
yeah, I think Lexi was right. She was pretty one note. It was kind of just, it was like I'm not the biggest Joella fan per se, but she brought so much just entertainment to the show that I was just like the juxtaposition between like how she thought she was doing and how she was actually doing, yet how like she kind of was with how everybody else was doing is just the weirdest just separation of like how like I see a lot of
You
people
can
in
only
reality
applaud
that are
some of
able to
them.
yeah well yeah there's well yeah but I feel like there's a lot of people that are really good at trying to clock other people's stuff and they can't pay attention to themselves. It's like sometimes you need to pay attention to yourself just a little bit more, y'all. So hopefully there's a life lesson there for Miss Joella. Speaking of lessons though, one of the girls in our next group unfortunately was in for a very hard lesson this whole episode to the point where it felt very um I don't want to say Jan, but we kind of thought it was going to kind of happen anyways here. But let's bring up our next group here. So we have Arrietty and Jewel Sparkles in the famous back rolls fight between Jay Jolie and Alyssa Edwards. And I thought it was interesting the direction that they chose to go in this route, in that they both decided to be Alyssa Edwards, since, technically one of them was supposed to be, I think Jules was actually supposed to be Jade. Um, but I think that was kind of slightly what the problem was here is that Jules kind of took over the Alyssa energy, and kind of this is where that situation comes from. What we're kind of talking about, or why it's kind of hard to kind of judge this challenge when you have some people in Paris, some people are not, because now Arrietty has to fight for something where she probably could have stood out on her own, but Jules is just doing so much extra. I feel like Arrietty kind of get lost in the background, and a lot of it could just be with the editing of it. I don't really know per sure or per se, but yeah, I do kind of agree that Arrietty was on the lower end for me, and I do kind of understand why they decided to do this for her. I just can't tell if this is a situation where it's like, hey, we're going to knock you down just a little bit and give you a chance to build yourself back up with some critiques that we kind of need you to hear. Because conspiracy theory, as we get to the runway here, y'all, they do tell Arrietty, or Michelle does have that moment with Arrietty about the fact that she needs to change her makeup, that she paints for cats. And that's always a death sentence here. But tell me why there was another girl on this panel here this week that decided to change up her makeup but got positive critiques right in front of Arrietty's face. Just
Girl, this
saying.
it was a setup, baby, and I'll tell you about it. Because let's
Go for
get
it,
into
girl.
it. So Arrietty was the weaker of the two in her performance with Jules. Jules is a battery. She is like the little Energizer bunny kind of thing. She has so much energy, and I love that about her. And I'm not saying Arrietty has to do the exact same thing, but Arrietty just, she did have to fight for her time at moments, and maybe that's part of their like they didn't really have the time to really fully rehearse it. But even the girls thought Arrietty did a great job, which kind of shows you where some of the editing and stuff may have come into play. But also, this feels like a storyline they're giving us of Arrietty. And again, I'm not trying to be this person, but I'm just feeling like, she's getting that kicker while she's down, kind of thing, because she is a very proud Latina queen, and she's getting a very negative edit. I feel even from the beginning, like she does a culture performance, people thought it was bad just because it wasn't enough. Sure, fine, whatever. Next week they do the um the design challenge. She's in the top. She could have won easily. They choose not to give her the win over Sam. That's fine. It's justifiable that either of them could have gotten it right. But now Arrietty's like upset about it. And now I think they realized that she was upset. So that's where I feel like they were going to stick her in the bottom no matter what. And then they had the audacity to talk shit on her runway, which I was like shooketh by because I thought Arrietty did an amazing job in this runway. And bitch, you can't tell me nothing. Like, I could see the fabric and I thought it was quilted. I was like, oh yeah, that looks fine. And maybe it's a difference between on the runway versus there, but if you ask her and she says, yeah, this is quilted fabric, and you're like, oh, then you should stop critiquing it in a negative light and be like, I like how you use this juxtaposition between this like leathery, like kind of latexy bodysuit or whatever material with the quilt, but instead they just go at her about it. They're like, well, it's not quilty enough. It could have been quilty better. And I was like, there are plenty of girls that you can talk about their bad outfits on the runway, girl. Right? Like we saw plenty of girls who did quilt and we were like, not good. So come on now. We really want to get into it about her. So you're gonna knock her down on the thing that she's doing the best, and then talk about her makeup when I think it's unfair to call her cats because she doesn't look like cats to me. She just, she's given us that alien thing, which generally I don't like, but this bitch knows how to style it, honey. This bitch knows how to do it. And one of her ears is black, one of her ears is not, and she has the makeup on the face to like of the side with the black like splattered. So it made sense. It made sense. Everything on the outfit made sense. And they had just told her in a previous week they liked how she was doing less white on her face the week beforehand. So it's kind of like she got these positive critiques, got knocked down, then they hit her down even harder, right? And they want to like then put Suzie in the top, who shouldn't have been in the top to begin with, especially after the looks category. I was like, come on, girl, we're clearly not using the runway for this. And they're like, Suzie, you drew a lip as opposed to a Betty Boop lip. Girl, we love the thing. And let me tell you, I'm proud of Susie for that too. We'll get into that later, but you didn't need to say those things just to, throw one down to pick one up. Not necessary. It is
Yeah,
a definite fall and throw of Arrietty. They are preparing us for her to go home when they feel like it.
mhm, they
And
really are
she's
though.
one of our like runway girls, like truly one of our runway girls as far as the outfits. So I'm sad. I don't think she did bad enough to be in the bottom three in the challenge personally, especially because I take into consideration some of the runway. It's not as big as a part of the challenge, but I feel like after some of the other girls I saw, I could have put. I will also say, and it might be because of the song as well. Their song was more fun. I enjoyed their song and their performance more than I enjoyed the first group. So that could also just be the song in itself, but she
I
didn't end up in the
mean,
bottom two, which is the most important thing.
the only thing I will say to kind of like see that's my thing here is I don't know if they're trying to do it in a way to trigger her as much as maybe we thinking they are because I mean like I feel like it's also a situation where it's like okay well look someone else is doing it they're kind of getting good critiques for it too it doesn't hurt you to change a little bit and the fact that they didn't necessarily stick her in the bottom two I think is a good sign that they still want to keep her around. I'll be honest, out of everyone too, I didn't necessarily get quilted as much from her outfit as others, but I still enjoyed it. Like, for example, more than Jules. While hers is much more quilted, um, it's also kind of like a silhouette I've kind of seen before a lot. I like the shoulder part of Jules. I like that. I think it was fun. But I mean, most of Jules is kind of something that we've kind of seen a little bit. Whereas Arrietty it definitely feels like she's bringing something new and original into it. So I kind of prefer Arrietty's, even if maybe it's not the most quilted of them all. Um, Go ahead and talk about Jules' look here, so we go and move on to our next girls too.
Oh, okay. So Jules' look, blue, like very beautifully sculpted look, looked less quilted to me, except for the cape part of it, than the majority of everything else. There could have been more quilting better if you're going to say the same thing about her, right? Like she needs to have the same like kind of I don't know. It's very like looks like a bow around her neck. these arm sleeves and like with the cape from her waist down, very beautiful hair. Like I love a good orange red hair with a blue uh fit. It obviously complimentary. It's such a beautiful look. I don't know if this is giving me as much quilted, but there was quilted material. I did see it. I approve of this. I think she looks stunning. Um, she was a like high mid for me because just there were so many good looks, and I just felt like this didn't hit the brief as much. Loved the hair. Loved the hair. This blue like striped material looks very good on her. She also knows how to present it on the runway, and I really appreciate that. The only thing that I really could ask for more is, I guess, if we're gonna give it where I need to know it's fully quilted, I want to see more quilting on the top part. But it's a beautiful, glamorous look. I think it hits the nail enough. I don't think she deserves to be top three, so I think your placement in the safe category is totally correct. But I think she did a great job.
Definitely did
So
a great
good for
job this
Jules.
week. She's standing out a lot more than I was expecting her to, I gotta say. Um,
Agreed.
and that's not meant to be any shade. I was just, I wasn't expecting you, Jules, and I'm very, 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 very proud of you. Let's talk about our next girl, because she's definitely someone who's on everyone's lips here, and that's Miss Harmona Lisa. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of put it all together into one critique here. Meh. I enjoyed what she did. I liked the song. I thought it was fine. I thought she served it okay, but like I don't see anything that really stands out 100%. I like her personality more than I like what she's kind of giving. So I'm hoping that she kind of is able to find a way to maybe include the uniqueness more in what she's doing because like even just the looks on the runway here are just kind of expected. Like it's just very safe. That's kind of what I got from Harmona this week was just very, very safe. Which I mean, I guess from her last week or the first week before that, okay, good for her that she's still safe, but she's not giving me really someone who has much longevity in this competition here. What are your thoughts here on Miss Harmona? Not to just skip over her, but I don't really have that much to
No,
say,
I
honestly.
agree. I think that's pretty much true. She's a one note character right now, and I'm not really getting much from it. I'm just like, we're here, we're watching it. Even her runway, again, is the most basic she could have done. And then she did this pastel, like, color blocked thing that kind of just reminds me of, like, the late 90s quilt that you got. And you were just like, uh, well, we're here, we're doing it, right? Like, it is happening. We are watching it. It's the bare minimum of the runway possibility. And her performance was good, but I don't even remember what was her moment about.
Chanel. She had Chanel's nominating herself to go home moment.
That's a really good moment. The song was very shitty. I think it was set up to guarantee that you weren't going to be in the top. At least her performance definitely was that too. I was like, her performance at best could just be safe. It was very messy. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was good. It was just like it's one of those you take a big risk. It's like Canada's Drag Race when the girls in the Go Off music video chose to just sit there. It's like,
Some of
ooh,
them I don't think chose to sit there. Some of them I think that's all they could do. But that's for another video
that's a different
there.
video.
That's a different
Leave
video
me
there.
alone. Anyways,
Hmm.
so I think it was something.
Well, you know what? Let's not delay this moment any longer here because I know this is
Yeah,
the girl
the
that you've been
best.
wanting to talk about all day. Miss
Yeah,
Crystal
honestly.
Envy closes out Group One with her take on Latrice Royale's unprofessional rant here, which is actually is less of this rant and more of like a combination between this and her "Good God, Get a Grip, Girl" thing, which is another thing where I'm like, okay, now you're combining like two different moments, but I'm not mad because like this was probably one of the best. I'm still kind of going back and forth with who exactly was my favorite. This was definitely the best of Group One, though, for sure. Crystal knew what she wanted. She set everybody up, told them what to do, and got what she wanted. And she was hilarious the whole time. And bitch, this runway look. Oh my god. just in the like is no words as I had for Harmona's outfit for how met it was. I have no words for this because it just leaves me speechless. And like, and this fact that she reveals it into a completely different outfit too. Ah, Crystal, Crystal, this is so fucking good. Jack, go ahead and go off because I know you'll say everything that I need to.
Okay, so let's talk about her choice to lead the group was so perfect because she really got these girls together. She said, "Okay, what is everyone's ideas? What are we doing here? What do you guys want to do for this? Like, let's get it together. I want to make your visions come true." Now, whether the girls were able to do it or not, she was willing to back them 100%. And I think that's what's really important about her being a leader. And she was willing to give any critique that she felt necessary, but again, she let them go with what they wanted to. She did an amazing job, and I think here's one of the greatest things. She basically brought her whole team in for her number, right? She brought a majority of people from her group into the number, and her number was really fun, and it was such a great number to end on. It was just giving me so much like energy and stuff. It was the energy that we were missing from the start of it, from the Harmona Lisa. You know, there was a lot of points where we just didn't have it, or just it wasn't working, and this was the one standout of this group that really like went above and beyond. Like she didn't even let the girls overshadow her. They were like over here, walking that fucking duck kind of thing, and she's like giving us face, serving us face from the back of the pew kind of thing, and showing us what it is. Like she was lip syncing for that dollar. She had the electric bill like shut. The electric company was shutting off her lights. She needed the water bill to like feed her children. You know, she was 3 months behind on rent and she gave us everything and we paid those bills for her baby. That was everything. It was it was just a masterclass on how to do like a good improv challenge. And then if that wasn't enough for us, we get to this runway. And I want to talk about this collar-esque moment of her beautiful like royal gown that she has on that's quilted all over, by the way. And I want to point out that it almost reminded me the back collar of like uh what is it, the Venus Emilio kind of thing, where that sculpture of Venus. It's kind of like when Venus is in the like clam or shell or whatever it was.
Birth of
Like that's
Venus,
kind of what it
yeah.
gave me. Yeah, that. And this hair that she chose to go with it, again, it pulls away because it's not draping down, it's not taking away from anything. It's pulled up, and yet it's into these interesting shapes of these small balls of different sizes and different colors of red. And we have this beautiful, like, this beautiful shade of like almost scarlet or crimson red, completely put together with like this beigey tan color, and she gets down the runway kind of like almost like a queen of Scots or like the Elizabethan kind of thing. Like you see her march down this runway holding up her beautiful quilted dress, and she gets to the runway, spins around and opens it up and lets us know, yes bitch, I do have a quilted bodysuit underneath as well, which is just perfectly lined up. You have quilts on the sides, you have, little cutouts and like see-through moments of her body. It's just it's sickening because then she's like holding this as a cape. She can take it off to lip sync in, whatever she needs to do. It's such a smart design, and I wanna also talk about how well the quilted fabric is done on the front of it, because there are these little clasps that hold together this moment that you can't even really tell that's where the reveal would be coming from. Like it just looks like she would be pulling off the coat, but like it's these four little clasps that work together, and like she can open up and reveal this whole thing. And one of the best moments is it's the details of the arms with the red and the white and black lined just at the end of the arms. And this also goes down to the bottom of her dress and also lines that part. It's the smartness in here. It's so intelligent to do this. And something fun too is that when she opens up the quilted dress, the inside quilting is lined with the red again, as opposed to the tannish color that is on the outside. It's beautiful. Um, it's royalty. It's great. I loved every second of this. I was gagging. I lived for this. Crystal Envy. Oh my god.
Did she,
Everything.
did
10s,
she
10s,
just
10s
become
across
your
the
winner
board.
pick here? She just steal that spot from Lexi here? Or is she
I wouldn't
rattling
say
her now?
that, but I think she is just. I'm so thankful because I think she's just doing so well, and I love that for her.
Hmm.
Because I think
This
she's a lot
was
more talented than we saw.
Yeah, this was definitely, I think, a great week for Crystal here, for definitely her breakout moment for sure. And I think you could definitely kind of tell, and I think she kind of said it behind the scenes too, that she was really the one that was like giving, apparently she was giving out her outfits, her wigs for everybody to wear during the skits. Like she was definitely trying to make sure everybody had like their own Britney Spears backup dancer moment. But
Mhm.
the way that she did hers was so smart, just so smart. And you were right, the way that she was able to pull attention from the back just goes to show she doesn't need to upstage you. She will do it on her own, just by her energy alone. And that's a sign of a true front runner here. So I'm definitely very excited to kind of see where Crystal's going to go from here. Um, I'm a little worried because I'm like they didn't ultimately give her the win here. I think I would have. Now that I'm
I would
like
have.
watching this like a third, fourth time just based off of this and the runway, I do think somebody maybe had a piece together that I liked slightly more than Crystal's, but like as a package deal, Crystal would have been my winner this week. Um,
Easily.
but you know, we still got a whole second group to talk about, and we got your favorite queen coming up here, Jack, Miss Suzie Toot, who was doing the "You're Perfect, You're Beautiful" rant from Aja from season 9, and I need you to go first.
Well, there's not much to say. She did the rocker kind of thing. I think it was very successful. I think playing with the angles of her doing the lip sync into the mirror and it being reflected back into the camera is very smart. She was very like, I want to do this by myself because she wanted to stand out. It's a smart thing to do, and a lot of these girls could have, well, only the girls who had the solo numbers. But it was a smart idea. I mean, we've seen it a lot before. She was very grungy, kind of angsty, and it was fine. It was a good performance. It wasn't my faves. And it's not just that like I'm not a big fan of her, but I just also don't think it was top 3 worthy, and especially when we get into her runway, which I think looks nice. I like the headpiece the most by far and the matching bracelet. I love that the hair is pulled back here. And I love like the few strands, just a little bit in the front. But I feel like what I'm most shocked about is how are we gonna call other girls out for not being quilted enough on the runway when this look looks just like velvet to me? Like I'm sure
Well,
it's quilted, but it looks very just velvet to me. And it wasn't that great. And I like that she changed up her makeup. I want to give her kudos to that because that is important to do. And I think if I had seen that goddamn lip so small again, especially in this, I would have like thrown her in the bottom just for it alone. But I think that if we're going to talk about other people who need to watch the white and how much they use, we definitely need to talk about Suzie Toot's makeup because there's a lot of things that I would go in here and change, like maybe stop using Acacia's blush brush because there's a lot of blush and it's beating her up, honey, in the face. And there's a lot of white. There's a lot of highlighter white in that area. Um, I think it worked a little bit more successfully with this look specifically, just because she's trying to go for more goddess, so more light in the face is acceptable in a kind of look like this. But if this is how she plans on doing it to like switch it up, it's a choice in my opinion. That being said, her look is not that great in my opinion. I think that it's very middle of the pack, but kind of forgettable. And in fact, I'm now that I'm looking back on it, I'm kind of more likely to put it down lower just because again, I'm kind of not getting the quilty thing, and I don't really like that we have a couple stripes in the corset area, and then it turns into like these little tears of fabric kind of thing. I just don't understand what this was for.
It's like two different looks, right? For some reason.
Yeah,
Like
it
she
doesn't
cuts
really
herself off a
work
little bit at the waist.
together. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does kind of do that, and you know what? I'm changing it now. I'm changing it now
That's
so fast.
shocking. We have a reason to put Susie even lower for Jack. Yes.
It's just it
Um,
is what it is. She's the Harmona Lisa of the group in my opinion, where I was just like, it's
ooh,
boring. It was expectable of Suzie to do like her. It was expected for her to do this kind of a performance. Like if anyone was
I
gonna
don't
do the
know. I
I'm
don't think
different
it
punk
was
rock
very
girl,
expected from
you don't
her.
think it was
I would have
you don't
gotten
think
that from like
Hair
Lydia, I
Girl was
feel
gonna do
like.
it?
No, I felt like Lydia would have given me that. I would have, I mean, I could have even seen Arrietty, Jules maybe possibly doing that. I probably would have
Well,
even taken like, I could have even seen like Sam or Lexi doing that kind of rock girl too. I don't think necessarily wasn't something I saw in her wheelhouse, but I also see her as being very malleable in a lot of ways, and I think that she is able to kind of mix up her style somewhat, at least at this point, when she needs to for certain things. So I was actually pleasantly surprised by her performance. I am slowly coming around to Susie a little bit. Like I don't, there's nothing about her that I find so offensive to the point where I'm going to um, hate on her that much at this point. Like I just find her very. I do find her performances pretty good at this point. I think she's putting in the effort. I didn't find anything
let
wrong with
me
it, and I struggle to find who else I would stick in the top other than her this
oh,
week,
I don't.
other than maybe Lexi. But even
Lexi is
then,
right
like
there.
I'm still very much so. I think
Even
Crystal,
Sam or
Susie,
Acacia could have been in the top.
no way, Sam and
Could have been for
Acacia were
me.
not in the top
They were
at
better than
all,
her for
girl.
me. And let me tell
Um,
you
well,
something.
let's go ahead and we
We
can
can
talk
move on
about
from this.
Casey and
Well,
Sam then.
but wait. Let me say something about this really quickly.
Okay,
I'm gonna say
real
this. This is the
quickly.
one thing I always say about Drag Race. If there's a rock punk performance, it's always graded well in comparison to any other type of music performance when they give us these skits. It always is. There's never a time where it hasn't been. There's always like, wow, this girl really stuck out and did something different because we gave her a rock number. Every single person who's ever done like the punk or the rock ends up bare minimum safe.
Gottmik's finale performance in All Stars 9. Done. Anyway, let's move on to
That doesn't
Acacia Forgotten
count.
Sam Star, our next group here. Because apparently Jack would have put them in the top and not that I thought they did bad at all here, but they were definitely for me probably the weakest in this group other than one other person, honestly. I think most of it that though is just the fact that they had to share the screen time. Um, any other than that, like that's kind of what it comes down to. Honestly, I felt like for me, Acacia was a little forgettable in it. I liked what they were doing with it. I actually really liked the song that they had too. I thought it was kind of fun and catchy, but like overall, I wasn't as big of a fan of this group as I was a few others here. So just my personal taste here. And as far as the runway goes, I also think that Acacia was struggling on the runway here. Because like I love it when a girl wants to include like family heirlooms in her look, and like I like the idea of like doing the doilies in the hair, and then having like your mom's like prize, I don't know, dress that she lost her virginity in. I don't know. But like I don't connect with the fashion with Acacia here. She has not given me really one look this season that I feel like I can vibe with 100%. And I'm just, and then the blush, girl, the blush. Um, but
You can't say
is
nothing about this blush when Susie was right there because this blush was very mild for Acacia.
for Acacia, sure, but
And
like
this
for the
was less
average
blush than
individual.
Susie. This was less than Susie's girl by a significant amount. Look at them side by side. Trust and
I'm
believe.
not here to compare the blush gate. They both need to stop, girl. They both need to stop.
Well, there's a few of them they need to do it.
But she who does not need to stop is Sam. Sam, this look for Sam is so good. We've kind of seen some like internationally. I remember Drigi. Dirkly from España did a look very similar to this. And I think somebody else internationally has done this too. I don't know if we've seen this necessarily on the US stage, kind of,
We sure
but
have.
forget who else did it. Someone else did it, but I don't know. I like the idea. It
Wozniak.
looks really good. Oh well, not no, she didn't. I mean, yes, she did, but
She
not
sure did.
really. I
She
mean,
sure
yeah, I
did
guess
that.
she did the naked version of it.
Well, it wasn't fully naked until she decided to take off the thing.
I can't remember. I need to go back and look.
That's
That's
because she
how.
always
Like
takes it
I do
off.
remember it happening, but I was like, I feel like all of her looks were literally just swimsuits. Like
Well, Skinny Queen,
I
so
don't know.
they
I
do
just
that.
the attention to detail on this is what I really like about it. Is the fact that it's done, but it's done well. It's blended well. The hair's blended so well into the pillow. I love the gigantic zipper that she has. I think that's really freaking cool.
Hmm.
It's just there's a lot of just fun little details that while it's not the most original look, I don't think we're gonna. It's season 17 and season 100 internationally. You know, there's only so many looks that we're really gonna be able to release there 1,000% original at this point anymore. But like, I liked her take on it. I thought it was clean. It gave me quilted, and I thought it was fun. Um, Overall, I do think Sam probably did better than Acacia.
Definitely.
So, um, yeah, that's all I really have to say about them, though.
Let me tell you why this group was better to me than Susie. Because here we had two people having to work together to sell the song, which I think they did really well. And I was actually surprised pleasantly by Acacia willing to like step up and more so match Sam's energy than I thought we were going to get. I was really worried for her. And so I thought they worked really beautifully together. And I thought they had that like little joke at the end that was funny about her throwing her away. And I thought that that kind of worked well, but again, this is the only group number in the second group, and I think that's an immediate like negative against them. Like they just don't have the ability to do whatever they want, and I think that that's something really important to think about because a lot of the girls who did really well were not girls in group numbers, right?
Hmm.
Weirdly enough, all the girls got solos except for one, um, who could have chosen to do a solo but chose not to. Um, Now this outfit is everything. Sam is giving us every fucking thing. This beautiful like mermaid tail at the bottom, the quilted up perfectly symmetrical on the sides, and just the way that it's quilted to give us these like waves and different like shines of the quilt in the body is so beautifully done. And as you mentioned, the zipper and the line down it for like the zipper line, it's just so beautiful. And one thing I want to know, you've already talked about the hair, but up here is the pearls string around the whole pillow. I think it's just a very fun detail. If it had been me, I think I would have switched out her earrings to give pearls a little bit more there, but there are some pearls on the collar, which are part of the zipper, so it like all fits in together, right? Like it could have all been zipped up. A really smart placement of details that not everyone probably saw. Um, and her having the teddy bear and everything, and on the back, I woke up like this, like, oh my God. Like, this was everything. The way she had this, like, just stoned in the back. Like, just that last little gag as she's leaving, it's just so perfectly done. I really love this, and her performance is great. Now, here's where I have to completely disagree with you. Is I liked Acacia's like outfit. I loved the white pump with the white, mostly white quilted material, and I love that she used these doilies, and then she used a separate color doily in the hair versus the ones on her sleeves, but tied it together with the same one on her like little wrists that and the sleeve. And I could really tell that this was quilted, and I liked the little bit what they're doing, and I think she's doing a way more successful version of her like country where she's from style than Harmona Lisa is, because they kind of look like they're from similar areas, right? Like they both have that similar they're from the country thing going on, but hers is just way more successful. I love that she's literally like doing these doily things. I love that she has this like retro lunchbox because to me this is a period piece, right? This is like 50s, 60s kind of woman who's like, I'm the housewife. My man goes to work and supports us, and I stay at home and keep everything prim and proper, and I make sure I look good for him, kind of thing. And I make sure we go to church on time. We're gonna go to everyone's backyard barbecue. I have our like plans together. Like I think she really sold me that, and I was here for it. I don't think it's the most creative look, but I think it was very successfully well done, and I think had more personality to it, which is what the most important thing was for me.
Yeah,
Which really
I could agree.
separated
She has more
her.
personality, slightly.
It just really separated it for me, and I think it was smart the way it was created.
Yeah, I mean, I could give her that. I could see her points there. Um, I just I the aesthetic I don't necessarily think I connect with 100%. And I'm still kind of waiting for that look from Acacia to come out here, if it's ever gonna come.
Oh, good luck
Or
with
maybe
that
she forgot
one.
it. Maybe she forgot it. Who knows? Um, let's move on to our next queen here, and ultimately the winner of the challenge, Miss Onya Nurve, who had the Laganja Estranja "Put Your Lighters Up" moment here, and uh, as far as I'm concerned, she had probably one of the most telegraphed kind of performances. As far as I'm concerned, like there's only so many like things you could do with like the cabaret kind of style number here, but the way she recorded it, her voice, everything, like she sounded really good. And I thought she performed it really well. Like it was a very interesting kind of uh take on, I guess, the challenge, something I wasn't really expecting when this was like the piece that she ended up getting. And I thought she sold it. She sold it to me. Um I don't again I think it's just because maybe I like the song altogether, just with how she performed it slightly better than Crystal's, because I liked her voice a little bit more than initially. Why I was like, okay, I don't mind Anya winning. But like it's a full package here. I definitely think Crystal probably edged out Anya for me. But this was probably a situation where like Anya has now had like what 2 weeks in the top now. They probably were kind of also were like, okay, she probably in their eyes, I should say, not in most of our eyes. In their eyes, she's like, okay, well maybe she's due for a win. So that's probably why they ended up giving to her over Crystal. Because on the runway, I like Anya's look here, but it is very simple, I will say. But I don't think everything has to be like super over the top. I really like the just the influence that she went with this. I loved the actual quilted part of it. Obviously, the rest of it's pretty black, and you can't really see it mostly on the main stage, unfortunately, all that well. But and it's not like the most interesting silhouette, I'd say. But I feel like it's still a very pretty look, and I'm not really all that mad at it. And I think it's a little more inspired than some of the other looks that we've seen tonight too. Also really like the hair, big hair on it. I think sells it for me. Um, I don't know. I probably would have given her second place again, but go off, Queen, get your win. Jack, go ahead and go off on
Girl,
Miss Anya here.
I think Anya did an amazing job in the challenge. I think
I'm
again, this is
shocked.
one of those times where what?
I'm
What?
shocked. I never thought you would ever say that. I
I'm
was fully
very
waiting for you to be like, oh, Anya should have lost this challenge.
one thing about me is I'm gonna keep it as fair as I can. But with this specifically, Anya did such an amazing job. And I do think part of it is, and this is not to take away from her, I was so engaged with her song, and I think she has a beautiful voice. And I
Hmm.
think that really worked to her advantage this challenge. I think again, like she knew she was gonna do this by herself. I kind of think the song made it so she kind of also had to, because I don't know what else she would have done for this if it wasn't just like a solo performance. But the way she sold me that was so good, and I love her on the runways, the way she walks, because she's always selling me like what she wants. But I gotta say the garment is kind of boring. I love her big hair. I love the quilting part of it, but I think this is just very the land, like it's kind of just wrapped around her body and then trimmed at the bottom, which I think does look nice, don't get me wrong, and it's off the shoulder, so it's like asymmetrical, and that's a really good thing. And I love the wrap around her head and her hair, and I love that she's celebrating her heritage and everything. It's a very simple, like it almost kind of reminds me of the tube dress she did, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and it feels very similar to that. And I'm not trying to take that against her, but again, like it is just a simple dress with the wrapped quilting around it, so it's not much to look at on the runway. And I feel like they were giving her too many compliments on it, in my opinion. Just like I like the style,
I mean, it's coming off very more like real lady drag, I would say, you know what I mean? Than it
except
is
for her eye
drag
makeup.
per se. You know? So I think that's the thing. Like if I was to see like this woman out in the street, like not necessarily the makeup, but if I was to see this woman out in the street, I'd be like, oh, this bitch is like some like royal from Africa right now, isn't she? I'm like, this is like
Girl,
the
I
queen
would
of Zimbabwe, or like the princess
no,
of Zimbabwe.
girl. How dare
It's just
you?
like, okay, maybe it's like her
No.
mother on vacation.
This
And
is your
she's at the
mother
beach.
who works at the beauty store that's like everyone is directly from Africa kind of thing. Like
Wow.
she clearly has this kind of inspiration in her life. She has these people in her life who she knows. And I really applaud her for doing that. I just think overall with the package, the runway brings her down a little bit. So I agree with you. I think Crystal Envy should have taken the win, but like Anya being in the top 2 weeks in a row is really good, and I can totally see why she wins because she did an amazing job in the challenge. And so like I think the win is also well deserved. I know that for me I wanted Crystal to win just because I thought she did a better job really leading her team, and I think her performance of her creative ideas were slightly better. But Anya did an amazing job. She sold me the song. She did everything she needed to do, and she deserves her win as well. So I can't say anything negative about her other than the runway.
Hmm. Hmm. Let's talk about our next queen here. We got two more left here. Um, got Miss Lexi Love, who was our second to last performance here. I didn't even realize she performed this late in the number here. I thought she went like so much earlier here. No, she was second to last here, and she was doing the "This Is Your Moment" from Jasmine Kennedy, season 14. Um, I really liked the direction that she ended up going with it. I thought it was fun. It was out of most of these. The last, like, maybe actually the second group. I don't know why. It was giving me much more like those kind of like now ads. Like when you actually see like the clips of the videos and the things that they're doing in the videos actually is like relevant to like the song that they're playing at the time. Like
Hmm.
the story, because I think it was because you get the story in like in that short period of time. Like you really see the story from start to finish, and that's what Lexi I think was great at, was just selling a really goofy, stupid story in the matter of a couple seconds, and it related to the
Oh yeah,
song. Um, I thought she did really well. I think the only thing maybe was maybe it wasn't the most um lovely track to listen to, I guess I would say. Like, I'm not gonna put it on repeat
yeah.
at all. Uh, but she did really well, and this runway bitch. Lexi, how do you? I mean, this is why she has the mortgage out. I'm like, how do you even have any money after you've come out with some of these looks here? Like, clearly we could tell this is one that was inspired by one of your favorite queens, Jack Utica. I know you love Miss Utica almost as much as you love
Utica
Miss
made this
Susie.
outfit, girl.
But yeah, she definitely. Well, okay, sorry, not inspired by. Designed by is what I meant to say. So you definitely see that, but I don't feel like it's wearing her. She's definitely wearing and selling this, and it's just
Oh, she's wearing it.
uh, so many great details on this. Like you could get lost in literally any part of it, and there's just something for you to look at. And this is kind of like the difference between I'd say Anya's and hers is that hers is in black on the main stage here on this new main stage. It doesn't really stand out all that much like on Anya's, but Lexi's feel like you could see every detail, and I think it's because they also went with not just the blacks, but like the navy, the very very dark deep navy blues. Um, it's almost so deep that they're like purple. Oh my god,
Hmm.
this is so good. This is so good.
So Lexi did an amazing job on the runway and the challenge, but let me start with the runway and we'll get to the challenge. This runway is everything. So one thing I really appreciate is how there's so much asymmetry in the top half and so much more symmetry in the bottom half, yet still they blended in some asymmetry here. And we'll start with like obviously we have this beautifully encrusted hat with all these jewels and like half covering her face. And so you really get this moment of like, this is a rich bitch. This is a rich bitch. She has these beautiful dangling earrings and this collar that normally makes someone's neck look small, but yet it almost feels like it's so big because this collar piece is so big. And then we get down to the lapels, and one side is much chunkier and one side is skinnier, and the skinnier side is also the arm that only has the glove, whereas the chunky side has like the full sleeve and the big old wrist garment here, and it's so beautiful and fishnetting throughout the whole thing while it's quilted, and you see the ruffles of the quilt going down, continuing this black and white stoned throughout the whole piece. With two different colored quilteds on one side and the other, and then the boots are slightly different. I don't know if she just scrunched the one, but they're slightly different lengths, and it's just so beautiful because there's so much going on here. You can find so many different areas to look at, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that you're gonna like, oh, this is bad. The only questionable thing I guess you could ask for is maybe the crotch would be more covered, but who fucking cares? Because the ruffles and the way that they are designed and portrayed here is just so beautiful. She's really giving everything. It's a unique design. It's not something you will ever see again. This is couture. This is like fashion runway ready kind of thing. So I mean, it was easy to put this as number one. It was difficult to bump Crystal down, but it was easy to make this the number one. Lexi ate this up, and in the challenge, Lexi ate the hell out of this challenge. I would have put her above Suzie Toot easily for me. And that's not just my bias, but I mean, first of all, look at the runways, girl. Come on, look at the material. I think Lexi's track wasn't as great, but she sold it more to me, and I think she was really funny when she had that wig fall off moment at the end of it. I really enjoyed her interpretation of like falling off the bed and how she fell into it. I just think there was a lot of fun moments in there. I think one thing that they really wanted to do was keep Susie in the top just for the makeup thing for Arrietty, and I think that's all it was. I swear to you, I don't think there was any other reason to put Susie in the top other than that to smite her. So
Eh,
I
eh,
you cannot convince me otherwise. So it's not
nah.
worth talking
Well,
about
I'm
it
not
because
trying, and I'm not trying to convince you, girl. I ain't trying to convince you.
Lexi did Lexi did above and beyond with a song that I didn't think she was going to go anywhere with because at first I was worried for her. Then I saw the product and I was like, oh shit, like she went the fuck off, especially for having a boring ass song.
Yeah, I would agree. She definitely. I was a little worried for her in the pre-production process, but no, you should know I'm not never to be worried about some of these queens because they just literally just set up drama just for the drama's sake. But yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying. I would not be opposed to Lexi being the top, absolutely whatsoever. So I'm not gonna bite you on that. I absolutely love Lexi. So, um, fantastic week for her again this week. But speaking of falls, lots of falls. Let's talk about our final girl here, because I'm very surprised on the trajectory of where Miss Kori King has kind of began this season. Because what what even happened in this whole skit here for her? So she did have the moment where she had to talk about Kennedy Davenport's infamous being burned by trade and crystallizing into a glamazon bitch moment that we just you know I fun moment. I feel like it was probably maybe one of the hardest ones to probably figure out what you're doing with it, and then I don't know what Corey ultimately decided on at all. I, I'm just I still don't know if I understand the story. The reveal that she did from one dress to the other, I don't think she should have did it while she was laying in the feathers because you couldn't really even tell that anything was happening at all. I don't understand the ending because it's like it felt like it went from like her not being like it felt like she took it very seriously and then like in the last like 30-20 seconds of it all of a sudden it like turned into like just comedy slapstick. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know, like she was trying to make up for all the comedy that wasn't in the beginning of it at the end, and it turned into that. I just I don't know. Um Also her quilted look is unfortunately one of my favorites. It kind of does look like she's kind of wearing a bed. The structure to it isn't really all that good either. Like I like her body in it, but like I don't feel like maybe it's something that maybe the way it's constructed. I don't know. It's just it's the silhouette isn't really reading all that well for me. Um, like Corey's body always comes out snatched, but like the looks that Corey has been kind of given this season and just the overall performance, I'm very shocked. Like I never, ever, ever would have thought that Corey King would have a bottom three and a bottom two this early in the show. Like she had to send home Joella. 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 Corey King had to send home Joella. Like what is this? What is this? What's happening here? Jack, do you have any explanation for what's happening to Miss Corey?
Yeah, I can kind of explain. This is what my thought is anyways. I think this came down to she has one of the most iconic moments for her song, right? Because I think we all, anyone who's ever watched season 7 and the Untucks will never forget Kennedy Davenport explaining this terrible ass outfit that I think the rest of us were like, how is she like the runway alone I thought was gonna put her in the bottom on that episode. I mean she did a great job in the challenge, but the runway, that was the original Golden Boot baby. Uh that's the real one. Like I think I would have taken the bags over that. I'm being 100 with you. It was like J. Jolie's hair, like I'm showing off my arms or something, favorite body for the dress, and I was like, what is this? So I gotta be honest with you, it's one of the ugliest outfits ever we've seen on stage. So I think Corey got into the like, I'm making this about the scene. I'm gonna sell this scene and make it about how big of a mess this was. So I think she really took to heart the idea that like Trey didn't like the cooking, and so uh he tried to kill her and yet she crystallized kind of thing, so I think Corey really tried to go into that about, she's snatching out the outfit. It wasn't really successful. I think some of the girls probably should have told her that it wasn't successful and tried to help her there, but neither here nor there. So I understand why her whole acting goes a whole mess. She was trying to really focus on the lyrics about being a chicken with the eggs and like everyone behind her. This is one of those, she kind of did a solo but tried to bring everyone in, like Crystal Envy, and it didn't exactly work. Um, but I think the problem is she was so focused on kind of really emphasizing what the moment was and not just doing the song, which is why I kind of think also this challenge wasn't as successful for me because I could have seen myself doing something similar, maybe not all the things she did, but like really trying to emphasize what had happened in this moment because I think she tried to play out the kind of story of what was going on. And then she was trying to do that slapstick comedy, like you said. And I thought her funny her performance was funny and I was entertained. It just maybe wasn't for the right reasons. The challenge
It's
was more so
not.
about selling the song. She sold me the story, just not the song. That being said, though, I'm gonna say something very controversial. Her body looks amazing in this, right?
It does. It's
I
so
like this
snatched.
look.
I
I'm gonna tell
mean,
y'all, I like this look. I really love the continuation of the black as the structure of the of it, and then quilted as like the the accents and what's important here. The one thing I want to really change up the most is I want to take that goddamn thing off of her neck, but I know it's covering up her breastplate and like keeping it in there, so I totally get it. I fully understand what she's doing this for. I just think with the small earring and to like cover up what's going on here for the neck and the breastplate. I don't care that her breastplate is slightly off, especially as a queen of color. We know that queens of color have harder times finding matching colored like tights or breastplates and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna fault her for that. And it's really not that bad. Her
It's not
makeup looks great.
that bad, but you know one reason why I think you like it though too, Jack. It's
What?
definitely giving me I could literally just kind of blink at this really quick and just see plain Jane, like no other.
Okay,
Like it
that's
literally
not.
looks just like plain Jane. I won't even lie. Like you could tell they are sisters. Like I see
Well,
the
they,
family
yeah.
resemblance here without a doubt, and I think that's partially why, because I feel like you're getting all your best life from that
Well,
family
no.
there.
Let
That
me
I
let
know
me
that
explain something
that you love.
that I love about this. So one of the most fun things about quilts is how kind of awful they are. I don't like quilts IRL. Like I generally get really warm as a person anyways, but one of my favorite least favorite things about quilts is I find them very uncomfortable. And not just because they have a lot of heat, but what's really fun about them is how they generally have this weird trim to them that makes me feel uncomfortable. And if you notice the trim all around the thing, it's those little tassels. Those little tassels that are very annoying on quilts. But you know what? Here, it's so beautifully done that these alternating color of the tassels everywhere. It's the small detail that really like brings together the quilt because just it outlines it and it lines it so well that I'm just living for it. And I'm living for this. I'm gonna say it. Oh my god, I'm living for this shoe being black to take no attention really away from anything. I love that her gloves are black. I love again that most of the black is just the structure, and we have this patterned white, red, brown, black quilting thing going on. And I kind of love the small head. I'm not gonna lie to you, big breasts and small head. Like I kind of got the small, big, small waist, big hips. Like, like I really saw like the different proportions, and I enjoyed it. And yes, she could have had a huge headpiece or a huge hat. That's fine, but I think it works. I personally like this. It made me think about things, and I was like, let me look at this another time. Hold up a second. I want to see this. And that's something that I really enjoy about drag is and fashion, I guess, is like when something makes me think about it and I want to be like, are there things I would change? Yeah, a couple things I would definitely change. But I really like this. I mean, I think one of the big things is the lining of the inner quilt on the bottom is black, and I think maybe there was a solution here to make it something else or at least create the quilting inside of it because I can't really see it. But overall, I'm a big fan of this quilting. I actually put it in like I think it was my number five.
Dear
I really
Lord,
enjoyed
Jack.
this look.
Dear Lord.
I know. I said it was going to be a controversial take. I know I said it was going to be a very controversial take, y'all. I told you controversial from the get.
You're
I
trying.
like this look.
You are really
I
trying
really
here.
do.
You're trying. You want us
No,
to get
I'm
canceled,
not. I'm
mister.
just telling you my feelings. This is my opinion. This is like my hear
Well,
me
no,
out
that's the
take
great thing
moment.
about, honestly, Drag It to begin with, anyways, that we each resonate with our own personal style and whatever, you know? So it's like, each person has their opinion. Who gives a crap if your opinion doesn't match somebody else's, you know? If you enjoy it, enjoy it. Like, who cares? As far as I'm concerned here, the majority of queer art is worth protecting. So, I protect most of these. Most of these. I would not protect Akashi's Bless at all whatsoever, and I would not protect Joella or Kori actually. In this lip sync that they did to Buttons from
Oh,
Pussycat
this
Dolls.
lip sync.
Um,
Oh, I'm
this
obsessed.
was so. Oh my god! Like I guess it's iconic for how bad it is now, but like, I've been waiting for this song for years. And for this to be how it goes down, for Joella to rudely not even attempt to move the mouth on her stupid RuPaul outfit
Girl, that's what I
and
was saying too.
just move back and forth on it. I'm just like, girl, I'm like, uh, and then like, nothing against Kori. I think she did fine. Um, but I think it
Did
was
all
just,
right.
I was just very underwhelmed. I think what it came down to, I mean, if I was Kori too, I wouldn't try it that hard either if I was lip syncing against a mattress. Like, like you
Well,
already know, like you're like, oh, you're like, well, unless she reveals to something, you win, and she revealed to. I don't even remember what she revealed to. So yeah, it was obvious
it
Corey was going to win that
was a look.
regardless. I don't know. It was, I mean, eh. It was definitely just a very sad way, unfortunately, to say goodbye to Miss Joella here for the season. I do have to kind of laugh though, because I feel like she's kind of giving like the same kind of Harmona arc a little bit, where she's like she's not really, a girl that's maybe in with the group here at all. And it kind of made me laugh that her last words were something to set her apart even more from everybody else here too. Um, I could definitely tell why her and Naisha Lopez were not vibing at Roscoe's last week, at all. Um, but Joella did make these first few episodes so much fun. There's been like this random recent arc of second outs being like actually pretty iconic. If maybe for the wrong reasons, but still iconic runs here on the show. And Joella definitely will be somebody that I don't think we're all going to be talking about this Legion Diva of LA forever now, just based off of this one look alone, not mention all the her antics and Untucked and whatnot. So, um,
Said
you
for all
know,
the wrong reasons.
yeah, all the wrong reasons. Do you have any final words here for Miss Joella here, Jack?
Um, learn your lyrics. Um, learn. You know what? Let me. It's
Learn
not words.
something from this.
Please watch the season back, and I mean this with complete respect. Watch the season back and really like edit and learn from this. I think there's a lot to be said here about how great it is. Her confidence in herself can be at times, but I think there's also she plateaued at a point, right? She really plateaued in herself. And I think that that's really something important to remember is that you can get to a level and be okay, but don't let yourself just sit there, you know? And I'm not saying that like I'm a better performer or anything like that, but there were just a lot of moments this season where I was like slaying. Like this lip sync was really messy. Not only on you not knowing your lyrics, but also you didn't again, you said she didn't even try to move the mouth. If she just moved RuPaul's mouth and or like cut a hole right there in it before, because that's what I would have done, and like lip synced it kind of thing, I would have because then I didn't even need to really fully know this part. Pulled a Megami essentially, and I think it could have been way more successful. But this lip sync was a letdown for everyone. So I mean, Joella just like learn from this, grow from this, look back at what you're seeing, and really look at the details. I think that's one of the biggest issues with a lot of her looks and a lot of what she was doing. The details are just not ever looked at in the slightest. I mean, no, well,
I
it's not a me thing.
mean,
It's just the details are bad.
no. I think a lot of it too is I think she's still trying to find herself, her style a lot too. I think she kind of referenced that. That she kind of, swayed away from her culture in a way to try to get a little bit more into like the scene and whatnot. So, I think I mean, I think she's still trying to realize herself here too. So, I mean, she has nothing but time.
Does
So,
not have a fashion eye.
well,
She
that's
doesn't have
nothing
a
that,
style either.
a little bit more time and a little bit more influence and a little bit more involving yourself in things will grow, Not everybody comes out fully baked in absolutely everything immediately. So, um, I think that's
What's she
really,
baked in?
I don't know, you know, um,
Like willingness to do whatever. Sure.
Sort of. I
Any
mean,
direction or focus in it? Not a damn bit.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. For an early out. I'm very entertained by Miss Joella here. So, um, like I said, she'll give us memes for years to come. So that's all you could really hope for if you go out super early, as far as I'm concerned. Um, well, we're
I
almost
mean,
here. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
is she the mirage of the season where she's gonna be beloved by fans and gives out second for not knowing her lyrics? Like, but without the performance skills to back it up, or what?
Probably a little bit. I don't know. It's been a long time since I think we've had an early out that has been as polarizing as Miss Joella has. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't. I mean, I don't know. Something else I don't really know how to feel about here, Jack. They're bringing back RDR Live, and not just that they're bringing it back. They're bringing it back next week after it feels like we kind of have like a comedy kind of challenge that they did this week. Um, do you have any thoughts on how all this is going to go? I'm already cringing in advance for an improv challenge here, but um, who are you watching? Who do you think's going to do well? Who do you think's probably doomed?
I think Arrietty is gonna go home.
Ooh,
I think. Well, I this is my thoughts about it. I think she's going to either have a look for the runway that she had already done for her kind of like elf makeup-y thing, and she can't change it, and they're gonna be mad at her. I think she maybe not won't give enough energy in the performance or whatever, or she might get a part where she can't stand out, and therefore she will unfortunately struggle a bit. I think we're gonna have a few of the queens, maybe Lydia and Lana, kind of struggle a little bit as they didn't really stand out this week and they had already worked together. So if they choose parts where they're working together again, I'm a little worried for that. Acacia, I think, has the potential of struggling again. Harmona Lisa, I see as someone who might struggle a bit depending on what part she gets, especially. I do think that RDR Live is a better challenge what than like this drag challenge we just had was because I really hate this drag challenge we just had. I I think it's more I think it's better when you have a part and you have to do lines or you have to do like improv or anything. Like it just gives you more ability to really show off your talent. And this you had the opportunities, but some of the and RDR Live still suffers from this where some of the parts may not be as good as others. But a better comedy challenge overall, I would say, than this one was. I'm looking at Kori King. I think we're all looking at Kori King with a huge like, you have to do well in this challenge, girl,
you
or
in
at least
danger,
redeem,
girl.
not be bad. Right? We're all like,
You
you
in
in danger.
danger.
Like instead of Molly, we're like, Kori, you in danger, girl. Like,
Corey,
okay,
this is your moment, Corey. This really honestly is like I think between Corey and Arrietty, this is going to be a big moment for both of them. Um, this it would be unfortunate to lose either of them. I think this early. Um,
agreed.
I think the edit is probably. I think you're right. It's probably leaning more towards maybe that girl being Arrietty, especially if we're. I still can't get over the fact that it felt like Arrietty just had such a bad attitude during the Meet the Queens. Like she was just so over the whole
I can see her running
situation.
off the stage and just leaving straight up.
Right? Like it's giving me like it's just giving me like she perhaps is or maybe she's just really upset about this whole critique thing. I don't know. But it just feels like the storyline is definitely leading to her sadly probably going next, which would be insanity to lose not only Lucky Stars in the first few weeks, but Ariete too. Would not have seen this timeline coming. But either way, I'm excited to see how it turns out. And hopefully y'all are as well for lasting this long in the podcast. Thank you again so much for listening. As always, we will be back next week for the next episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, and we'll be doing some more additional content of the week. I know we've been saying that for a lot, but this February will be content time, y'all. So be on the lookout for all of that. Um, And make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure that you're always notified when new stuff goes up. And yeah, I guess until next time here, y'all. And on behalf of co-caster Jack, this is Renegade signing out. But remember, y'all, keep spilling that tea.
I
Bye.